two questions for you. One, how did you answer your daughter, if you want to share that? Second, do the kids the high school kids, get it or not when they go to the Veterans Associations with you or whatever?
Yes, because when we go and we do a project we call the Living History Project, which we started off, I went to the VA and did it myself before we have the students do it. And what that basically is, I would go to the VA and I would tell a veteran story visually. Because I'm not a good writer like Michael. So I'm more of a visual person. So I would go listen to the veterans, and then I'd take notes, and I would and in 2 weeks I'd come back with a piece, and I'd give it to them. So telling some part of their story that they attached to me. So I have my students do the same way. And it's really a humbling experience. And it's really difficult for students, high school students, to go into the VA hospital. For one, because it's pretty hard for the veterans. They don't know where the kids are at, where the kids are going to judge them. So it's a whole process of learning experience. Like for high school students, the first thing we do, if I ever went, and we do it twice a year, and we have veterans come to my school. We don't always go to the hospital. We invite veterans from the community to come in. We break them into groups, and the staff at our school always buy the lunch and the breakfast. The staff is wonderful because I put it out there. You never know what you're going to get unless you ask. So that's the first point. And then the first project we do is the kids do a show and tell. The students show the veterans what kind of artwork they can do. They show them their portfolios, and that really opens it up. You'd be surprised. Like some of the veterans are like, wow, I didn't know. I've been around kids for a while or something. But how did I answer my daughter? I told her that I saw people die, but it was my crew that killed people. So that was very difficult because I was in the infantry, but mechanized infantry. So when I was in Iraq, I was a Bradley driver. So I was driving while we were shooting people. I didn't actually physically do it, but I did have to admit to her, and I don't want to lie to her, that I was part of it because I was part of a crew.
Thank you.
Does your organization have a website or a Facebook page?
Yeah, actually, we have some cards here, but we're on Facebook. If you look us up under Veterans Art Foundation, the website's still in development. It's it's kind of it's been our project for a long time. We never really tried to work too hard on it. Facebook is where we find most of our community, but you can't really accept donations on there, and like corporations or people that are really impressed by that type of stuff want to see the website, and that's really where we floundered. But we can be found on Facebook and Twitter even. But
there is a sign-up sheet on the table. If anybody wants to give their email address, we'll put you on our email address.
yeah, especially if you're an artist who's got a family member that's a veteran, you're welcome to put stuff in our shows if we have those type of shows. So we'll open up.
Does the military itself support you in this endeavor?
On paper, yes. One of the things you get now when you come home is tons of debriefs about the services that are out there for you, and if you need help, it's okay to ask for help, and all the things you're supposed to say to someone who just got back from war. We know it's traumatizing, so come be traumatized with us and it'll be okay. In reality, in my humble opinion, they're doing a very, 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 very bad job at doing what they say. Even within the military, and this is the stigma is like the really big part. Even within the military, there's still a huge stigma. Even among veterans, there's a huge stigma against people with post-traumatic stress. I was talking to another veteran who was about to give me a job. I was like, cool. And he's like, what are your disabilities? And it's one of those things you don't really talk about, but he was another combat veteran. And I'm like, I got post-traumatic stress and blah, my knees and back and ankles and hips and blah. And he's like, oh, you shouldn't tell people you have post-traumatic stress. Never heard from him again? That's kind of suck. Yeah. The military, though, what they'll do is they'll say, all right, we're going to get you help. Kind of go wait over here, and we'll help you out. And this one guy that I know, close friend of the family, went to Afghanistan twice, came home, told his command, I'm having a real hard time adjusting back to civilian life. And They said, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take away all your ability for promotion. We're going to take away all your schools, and we'll get you some help. So they took all the stuff away, but didn't get him any help. So basically, they just ended his career in the Army. So in order for him to get help, to further his career, he switched branches. Never got any help. Ended with an unsuccessful, thankfully, suicide attempt. Never got him any help. Still in the military. Now he won't go get help because he's afraid, because it ended his career once.
So there's no official protocol, like to when you come back. There's no official transitional protocol.
There is. It's just not effective, and it won't ever be effective ever until we get rid of the stigma behind the fact that you go to war, you see horrible things, you're going to be affected by it. You will come back a different person. It's the way I like to think of it is, and if you were to get in a car, and every single day of your life in that car, you got into a car accident, you probably wouldn't get in a car again, right? And we would say that's okay. That makes sense. You got into an accident every day, you shouldn't be in a car. With war, you go to war. Every day, you're horrified that you could die. Every day, you see horrible, horrible things. You come back, and you're expecting not to be horrified that you could die. Or you leave your room, you're horrified you're going to die. You walk out of your house, and you're expecting not to be that way again. Get rid of that stigma, those protocols will work. How do you get rid of that stigma? Everyone has to understand that it's normal. It's okay. Then you take the word disorder off of post-traumatic stress, and it'll become more okay.
Do you know about the Vietnam Art Museum in Chicago?
We've heard of it. We have
So that might be a good connection just for ongoing support.
We have Facebook ties to them. I don't know if anybody knows it's like a national. I don't know if it's the National Veterans Art Museum or the National Vietnam
I think
Art.
it's specifically Vietnam.
But it's in Chicago. It's a pretty big art exhibit. There's nothing. We're the only organization in Connecticut that does this. Kind of brings me to the point that we operate outside the VA. VA, you have to admit you have problems. You have to be enrolled in the system, and you have to. So there's two groups in the Connecticut VA that do this. There's some classes that teach you how to paint and draw, but not specifically art therapy. Then there's the Art Council, the Veterans Art Council. You have to have PTSD or mental illnesses. Then you have to be referred to it. I kind of got grandfathered into it because of this program. Then you've got the Giant Steps Art Therapy Program, which is amazing and wonderful, but that's an IOP, which in layman's term is like really heavy-duty therapy. So it's like all-day art therapy and stuff. So you have to have real serious issues and trouble adjusting. But I was off on a tangent there, but the National, this art museum that you're talking about has this amazing piece where it's got 58,000 dog tags with the people that died in Vietnam hanging from the ceiling. You can stand underneath it and experience that. It's a beautiful and almost simple piece, but it's so powerful.
I wanted to reach back to an earlier question. Where to place your frustration, right? Doesn't the military help us with this? If you were tasked with making it home, knowing that I'm going to do my best to T-bone you in your car, would you be able to take a phone call from your child for anything? You weren't, right? Your head would be very much focused on looking out for danger. The entire military is put into that position. So be careful at who we hold to be them. Because them is us. We all go to war for everybody in this room. So I am society. You are society. Don't think that there is some evil, string puller at the top. It isn't necessarily. We're not asking the military to take care of us. We're asking the military to go deliver violence. Think about that for a moment. All of the guys who are still serving, they listen to some of the things we say, and they can't connect. And that's not because they're bad people. It's because they're concerned with training people to go and deliver harm and try to come home alive. You know? Think about the reasons that that's happening. So it's important, at least in my mind, and this is the stage I'm at, is to learn to be compassionate toward the members of the military who can't see my way yet, because they have not yet come home. You know, so these guys have, until the day that you're pretty sure you're never going to go back out there, your mind doesn't switch gears. It's trying to survive or preparing to survive. It's a difficult thing, you know. What you get to see in some of this artwork is what those gentlemen and ladies still keep wired very tight, you know. But when it comes pouring out, I mean, this is what happens, right? Foundations come together when we're removed from the thought that next year I could be somewhere where I'm going to eat a bullet from a guy who is probably more similar to me than the people who sent me. So just be cognizant of the levels of trauma. We are traumatized people trying to lead each other into traumatizing situations, and then coming home and it's ugly at best, you know. So in that regard, we have to thank people who take charge, and the entire generation of Vietnam veterans, who as a generation has taken care of us, because Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom veterans have come home to a much different environment than they did, and that is because they took what they found to be frustrating, and they single-handedly, as many of them have put it upon themselves to make it a different experience for the future, which is us. So once again, that's what you're doing by joining us here today. So thank you.
I had a question about the therapy piece of it. It seems like you guys all kind of do that amongst yourselves. You don't necessarily have a therapist there, or you do?
We do have therapists. Actually, we have an art therapist right there, and we have
That's
some
right.
social workers that help us, but we don't really have the space or the ability, the funds. This is all volunteer. We've done nothing on budgets. We built this from really the grassroots, with nothing. Our board used to outnumber our artists 3-1. You know, it was pretty rough. So we do have that ability. It's just we don't really have the space.
So is that what you're looking for then? Is that your...
Would be nice.
Yeah.
Mike, you did my question. That was, where do you see this going, and how do you need to get there, and what are your barriers?
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
I figured
that was what
she might.
For a long time now, we've been doing a lot of art gallery showings, working with veterans and family members of veterans also. And now we're at a point, as Michael stated before, I'm able to devote more time. Michael and I actually met in 2008 when he was just thinking about doing this, so I've been kind of tagging along with him at varying levels of involvement through the years because of my own personal situations, but now I'm able to devote more time. So what we want to do is we want to start expanding our programming. That's why we were doing a mask making dry run, because we would like to offer a workshop, for instance, to veterans to, as an outlet to start to express some of what the guys here have been talking about. And we would like to do a video. It's called a low-res film festival. It's veterans filming their experiences, just everyday experiences in life, what it's like, including homeless veterans. That's a big problem, is homelessness among our veteran population. So we've got some ideas that we want to put forth. We're looking at varying ways of funding them, crowdfunding and that sort of thing, including private donations, everything like that, grants, foundational grants, that sort of thing. We've been very fortunate. We have expanded the number of artists who are working with us, and I'm just saying right now, you have to come to a gallery show, and this is just a little bit of what you'll see. It's unbelievable. We just had a big showing in November at the Hartford Public Library, and everybody was amazed. It's amazing. It really is. It's truly amazing. So one of the things that does keep us back is we don't have our own space, and that is a problem, very definitely, because we're always scrounging to do something to meet, to hold a mask making session. The gallery was, very generous in allowing us to do it here today. They opened their space up to us, which was wonderful. So it's yeah, we're basically all volunteers, and we do as we can. So it's that sort of situation. Yeah.
This was at 11 o'clock this morning, and that we're going to do this trial run on masks. I was like, I'm not taking part. I'll watch. And I ended up thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, all right, I'll try it. I had no idea what I'm going to do. I had no idea. The only thing I could think of was I was going to do something with like Italian colors because my family's Italian, but I don't really identify with that. I'm like, why am I going to? It was, whatever. I ended up doing it, and I ended up enjoying it. I remember we sat down this morning, and I was like, this is going to go till 3 o'clock? 4 hours of this? I'm not artsy. This is gonna, and what am I gonna, how am I gonna, mine's gonna look like crap. It's not gonna be good. And next thing I know, it's, 1:45, I've got to start doing something, and I'm like, I don't have time, I'm still doing this. And, really got into it and really enjoyed it. And, yeah, that's mine. Is that what I do? And I could, I really, what I think was the actual art, and I think some of the guys already said that, wasn't as good as the talking about it. And talking to the other guys and seeing what they were thinking. And then thinking how we can, again, it's vets helping other vets, like was mentioned earlier. And giving feedback to Rachel on, hey, what if we did something about maybe when we first came home from deployment and how different we are today? Or maybe using a whole therapy session and how we can change, and how that mask is a representation of different things, and we all wear masks. And I mean, the conversation, with a lot of colorful conversation also, and all kinds of weird stuff that we're talking about. But that's what it's all about, And I think it was just really cool. I was sitting there, and that's why I want to share it today. It was really cool being there, and I said to the guys and to the ladies that were there too, this is the first time that I've done art with the Veterans Art Foundation, even though I've been somewhat involved in some way, shape, or form since it started. And so I think it was some of my machismo, plus not knowing how to, not thinking I was creative and not doing that in art and, my personal life. And it was awesome. It was enjoyable. It was therapeutic. And being able to share it and be with the other guys. And I also want to just thank you all for coming too, because from the beginning we've seen this really, like Mike said, there was more of us on the board than were actually doing the artwork, and to see a bunch of folks who aren't veterans, who I don't know in some way, shape, or form from the veterans community, being out here, this is great. So please share it with your friends, share it with your family. The support is awesome, and we need more of it to really see this grow. And we can't do it without you. So thank you. Thanks,